There are many who think wars can be won only from great distances and from space and from the air and from the sea. Unfortunately, those views are very, very wrong. War is an act of politics where one side tries to impose its political will on the other. And politics is all about people, and people live on the ground. We may wish it were otherwise, but it is not. Wars are ultimately decided on the ground where people live, and it is on the ground where the United States Army, the United States Marine Corps, and the United States Special Operations Forces must never, ever fail. And to succeed in that unforgiving environment of ground combat, we must have forces that have both capacity and capability, both size and skill. They must be manned, they have to be equipped, and they better be trained, and they will be well led. And we must adapt to combat. As America, we have no luxury of a single opponent. We have to be able to fight guerrillas and terrorists all the way up through nation-state militaries. If we do not maintain our commitment to remain strong in the air, on the sea, and yes, on the ground, then we will pay the butcher's bill in blood, and we will forever lose the precious gift of our freedom.
Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and salutation to the Akim out there pushing this truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. This is for the elect only, the 144,000 and the 1/3, as well as you heathens and 2/3 to get the warning that this world that you thought it was a world is about to end. What you just saw right here was the incoming Joint Chief of Staff, General Milley's speech. All right, he's now the 39th general to in the Joint Chief of Staff to now run the United States Army. Okay, and what he just said right there, he said United States has no luxury. Okay, in terms of combat operations, to fight one type of group of people. They got to fight all of them now, from terrorists all the way up to he said nation of military states. All right, so let me give you a scripture. Start off, this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 28, verse 8. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms, and of war and of evil and of pestilence. And right now we're going to get into a war, because what you're seeing right now is that America's mighty men are in fear. They are scared, and that's the title of this video. America's mighty men, aka Babylon, are scared. All right, so let me give you a current event that came across. This is from the Defense News. The United States Army chief sounds alarm: military at high risk. All right, and this came out April 8, 2016. This Army Chief of Staff General Mark Milley, who you just saw in that speech, sounded the alarm that the United States Army is currently in a state, quote-unquote, high risk when it comes to being ready enough to defend the nation and respond to large conflicts. Quote, on a high military risk, to be clear, we have sufficient capacity and capability and readiness to fight counterinsurgency and counterterrorism, end quote. Milley said at a Senate Armed Services Committee hearing Thursday, quote, my military risk refers specifically to what I see as emerging threats and potential for great power conflict, and I am specifically talking about the time it takes to execute the task and the cost in terms of casualties, end quote. All right, because what he's talking about emerging threats, he's talking about Russia, China, Iran, North Korea. All right, and I'm going to prove that with these other articles. Milley added he submitted a personal classified assessment to the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, and the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff is Joseph Dunford. Okay, that faggot. okay, who's literally like the right-hand man to Ashton Carter, who's the Secretary of Defense, and the Defense Secretary characterizing the military's risk as high, and the Defense Secretary is Ashton Carter. And so let me switch over to another article to prove what Ashton Carter said of why America's mighty men are in for a world of hurting. This is from the United States Department of Defense, DOD preparing for competitive, demanding future, Carter says. And this article came out March 30th, 2016. Let me just get to the point. The United States is a great nation with great responsibilities, the Secretary said, adding, quote, in this interconnected world, we can't afford to ignore the challenges of our friends and allies together, end quote. Carter said the Defense Department's National Defense Strategy and the recently submitted defense budget request reflects the need for the nation to confront 5 evolving challenges: Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, the Islamic State of Iraq, and Levant and terrorism in overall terms. Quote, we don't have the luxury of choice among these, he says. We have to do them all. So what you're seeing right here is that what he's saying is that in Babylon, America has to take on pretty much the entire globe. All right? Because what is that telling you? NATO's not, is worthless. NATO is a piece of shit. Okay? Because really, NATO's ran by the United States Army. And so that's why I'm going to bring out a scripture. Terrors this is like terror. This is fear to these high-ranking military officials because they're scared. They know they got to face on the whole globe. So check this out. Get another scripture. This is Book of Job, chapter 18, verse 11. Terror shall make him afraid on every side. That's right. You have China, Russia, North Korea, the Islamic State, ISIS. Also, you have in here in America these patriots, these so-called truther movements. All right, they're scared. The mighty men are scared in Babylon. The top officials, generals, they're freaking scared. All right, and shall drive him to his feet. All right, that's the Book of Job, chapter 18, verse 11. Let's continue on. The SASC chairman, John McCain of Arizona, y'all know who John McCain is, that piece of shit, said declaring the military to be at high risk, quote, is a strong statement, end quote, that he believed was generated from, quote, long and hard thinking. Now, where does long and hard thinking come from? All right. Continuing on. Salakia, let me go to the next, where he said the long, hard thinking came from. This is from Sputnik News. U.S. Army says million troop force not enough for wars of tomorrow. Army strategists declare that America has lost air superiority against Russia and China. Suggests that the solution is substantially expand troop size. And where are they going to get these troops, man? There's going to be a draft coming. Just throwing it out there. There will be a draft. Let me get to the key points. Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster told the United States Senate that American troops may soon be, quote, outranged and outgunned by many potential adversaries, and our army in future risk being too small to secure the nation, end quote. McMaster serves as Deputy Commanding General of Training and Doctrine Command, known as TRIDOC, and is the branch top strategist in war operations prognosticator. And when I looked up that word prognosticator, it means one who predicts future events or developments. It's synonymous with forecaster, foreseer, foreteller, or prophet. Now, this makes a lot of sense because if you are a general of an army, regardless of what nation you come from, you have to picture in the future that you're going to win this battle, meaning you do not go to war unless you know you're going to win. So right there, he's saying that they are not ready for war with a major nation, man. Okay? McMaster projects that the Army fighting fortunes, which means the future, will change for the worse, not only due to troop reductions, but due to lack of modernization. End quote. That's the reason why this cocksucker, what's his name, Ashton Carter, is asking for money from Congress because they don't have enough money to go up against Russia and China. America's broke. Okay? McMaster expounded upon this point, citing that the Bradley fighting vehicle and the Abrams tank will soon be obsolete, but we have no current major ground combat vehicle deployment program underway, end quote. All right. Traditionally, the U.S. has boasted not only the world's most expensive military apparatus, but also superiority in troop numbers. American military strategists have shifted their sight in recent years from ground superiority, relying on troops, to air superiority. However, McMaster believes that strategy may be flawed after observing failures in the U.S. air effort in Ukraine, because Russia dominated that place and sacked Crimea and told America, fuck you, and told that cocksucker Poroshenko, you ain't gonna do shit, who's the prime minister of Ukraine, who came out, Salaka, not to go off topic, but in the Panama Papers, that he was hiding money offshore accounts. It goes to show you that America is nothing but a piece of shit nation, and all they are a bunch of hypocrites. Quote, notably, Russia and China, which U.S. Secretary of Defense Ashton Carter called America's number one and number two security threats, respectively, poses layered systems of radars and anti-aircraft missiles that can keep U.S. aircraft out of an area. You saw that in the Middle East. Okay, that's why America and Russia, they didn't want to bump heads with each other, because America was scared, all right, and Russia was just doing their thing. Technically, Russia was like, please do something. These systems, known as anti-access area denial, A2AD, completely undermine a decade of U.S. military strategy predicted on air superiority. So right there, America's air superiority shot. Okay, Babylon, America, you're fucked. Let's go to a scripture. Jeremiah 50:30. Therefore shall her young men fall in the streets, and all her men of war shall be cut off in that day, saith the Lord. And you're seeing it in that day. And what's that day? World War III, when all hell breaks loose. Let's get back to the this article. Let me go down. McCain quoted from Army Capabilities Integration Center Director LT General H.R. McMaster's testimony given earlier this week to paint a clear picture of what high risk to readiness look like. The article I just read you from before. Quote, when we minimize our army, we maximize the risk to our soldiers. The risk that in crisis that we will be forced to enter a fight too few in number and without the training and equipment they need to win. Okay, let me scroll down. Here's a good point. McCain pointed out in his opening testimony that the army is already stretched thin. That's right. Babylon, America, you're all over the country, you're all over the globe, and you're not able to handle the situation. That's why the world's getting worse and worse. That's why there's so many nations bucking up. There's so much sedition amongst men in a whole bunch of countries, because you're losing your power. There are 186,000 soldiers deployed in 140 locations around the globe. 186,000. That's nothing. Okay? And back home, 2/3 of Army BCTs, quote, will require some amount of time to bring them to satisfactory readiness to deploy in combat, Milley said. Okay? Let's get to a good one. Here we go. The chief admitted he believes the United States military is outranged by Russian ground base. Woo! Russian ground base. That's talking about your Russian troops like Spetsnaz. Okay? Direct or indirect fire system, tanks and artillery. Quote, it's close, he said. Quote, it's not overly dramatic, but it's the combination of system. And he's using a euphemism. All right? He's not saying overly dramatic. That's a euphemism, okay? Because he doesn't want to stir the people up to make them be in fear. But they are scared. They are scared. The people are in fear. We don't like it. We don't want it. But yes, technically, that's why he said technically outranged and outgunned. Russia is still the number one threat to U.S. national security, he noted. What that means for national security is dependent on what the U.S. strategy might be in Europe. Quote, the fundamental task there is to deter, maintain cohesion of alliance, assure our allies, and deter further Russian aggression. If we got into a conflict with Russia, then I think it would place our soldiers' lives at significant risk. Now, why is that? Let's get to an article. Moscow Times. The Russian increased nuclear warheads while U.S. decreased its arsenal. This came out April 4th, 2016. I'm going to read you just real quickly. Russia has continued to increase its arsenal of strategic warheads, although their numbers will have to be reduced to meet a 5-year-old arms reduction treaty with the United States that comes into effect in 2018, according to figures released by the U.S. State Department, which Russia's not going to do. That's why they're increasing it. If they're increasing it now, what, in 2008 they're going to stop? They're going to get rid of it all? No, they're not. They're getting ready for ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missiles. All right. The United States has reduced, let me scroll down. The United States has reduced its stockpile to 1,481 strategic warheads, according to the latest data released Friday by the United States the State Department on Friday. This compares to 1,790 warheads, la-di-la-di-la-da, okay? So that means that Russia has increased the number of strategic warheads it deploys on its ballistic missiles. Russia's increased it, all right? And right here, this is the key point right here. Most warheads were added over the last year, according to a count on March 1st, 2015. Russia was in possession of 1,582 strategic warheads. That means they increased it dramatically. Why was that? Because America was doing all those training exercises near the Baltic Sea. Okay, they were all the Eastern European countries like Romania, Lithuania, Poland, so on and so forth. All those countries. That's why Russia increased their nuclear arms. Let's get back to a scripture, okay? The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. They have remained in their holds. Their might had failed, and you're seeing that. Their might is falling. They have become as women. They have burned her dwelling places. Her bars are broken. That's right. Because if they're saying there's not enough troops, that means that not enough men, okay, are going to want to join the military. Because they know that first of all, you America, you raised effeminate motherfuckers, okay? So you have nothing but little bitches in America, little faggots running around, homos, transsexuals, sickening shit. And on top of that, all right, the average person that is in tune with current events knows, like, I ain't fighting in this military. This military is wicked. They're all doing bull. I'm not fighting a war that's unwinnable. Why am I fighting bankers' wars if you know about the Illuminati? So right there, that's a cut. Goes to show you that America is done. All right. It says Carter said the United States is taking strong and balanced approach in Europe to deter Russian aggression, an issue the nation has not had to address in about 25 years, he added. And what was 25 years ago? 1991, the end of the Cold War, meaning that we're in the Cold War. In fact, it's worse. It's a lot worse. All right. So let me finish this off with the final scripture. Jeremiah 30:6. Ask ye now and see whether man doth travail with a child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loin? That's Jeremiah, because when Russia starts dropping them nuclear bombs, let me just give you a visual. These nuclear intercontinental bombs, man, here in America, the men in Babylon are going to be like women in travail, like bitches, man, holding their loins, scared as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. That's right. Because what Jeremiah saw, man, everybody, man, in America, okay, are in dire fear. From the top men, the mighty men of Babylon, all the way down to the peon, okay, asking for cigarettes. All right? Wicked as hell. So, in time, we're seeing America's mighty men, America's top generals scared for dear life, and they're in fear. And so I hope this was edification to the elect out there, to the brotherhood. Okay, but we in these times, get ready, because this is about to end. Okay, like the Apostle Tar said, this is 2016 year, the push. So I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone for teaching his word diligently, for our spiritual fathers, Salakia, our carnal fathers in the flesh, but spiritual fathers who are teaching us the right path. And all you brothers out there, much love, man. The Akim out there in America, in Europe, in Hawaii, in Australia, all over the globe that I haven't mentioned. In South America, the Water Tiyah for pushing out this truth. And this truth, Salakia. And death to America. Shalom.